Hello. Today's lesson is called Slicing and Dicing. It is the first lesson in a new topic on three-dimensional figures. So before we get too far in, we'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between two-dimensional figures that we've been exploring before and three-dimensional figures, which are going to be looked at in this entire topic. So what's a three-dimensional figure? Well, it's something that exists in your house. It's something that you can hold in your hands. A basketball is a three-dimensional figure. It's actually the mathematical term for a basketball is a sphere. We're going to be looking at a particular kind of three-dimensional figure in this lesson, and it's going to be called a rectangular prism. Now, that sounds complicated, but more commonly, rectangular prisms are known as boxes. A special kind of rectangular prism is a cube. So, what are we going to be exploring about regarding rectangular prisms? We're going to be looking at a thing called a cross-section. So what a cross-section is what happens when you take a plane. Now, this is a little piece of paper, but it's a piece of a plane. Remember, an actual plane would go out in every direction forever. What happens when a plane comes along and intersects a three-dimensional figure? And like I said, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at rectangular prisms. And then what we're going to be exploring is what happens, what shapes are formed when the plane intersects the three-dimensional figure. And in this picture here on your screen that you're looking at, this would be an example of that gray plane cutting and intersecting a cube, and the green outline there is the shape that we'd be identifying based on this cross-section. So I was looking around my house and I found my basketball in my shoebox because those were excellent examples of three-dimensional figures. But I wanted to spend a little time and go over some, there you go, some additional things that I found in my house that are rectangular prisms. So right here we have some Tillamook cheese logs. They are rectangular prisms. They're shaped like little blocks of cheese. They're delicious. They're the pride of Oregon, Tillamook cheese. I live just outside of Portland, Oregon. But what I wanted to talk about with regards to this cheese is what we said before, cross-section. So cross-sections are literally slices of three-dimensional figures. So in this picture here, you're seeing a cross-section being taken of this block of cheese. And like I said before, when you are exploring cross-sections, what you're trying to identify is what shapes are created when this cross-section is taken. So as you can see here, I slice this log of cheese, and this green outline shows a sort of a rectangle, but probably more like a trapezoid, and it would be the result of the cross-section of this sliced log of cheese, or even better, rectangular prism of cheese. So this picture here, again, tries to identify that what we're actually doing mathematically is we're taking a plane and we're inserting it into this three-dimensional solid. And in this particular case, this three-dimensional solid is a rectangular prism. It's also a log of cheese. So in math, we not only want to look at what was considered a traditional way to slice that cheese, we also want to look at some different angles of having that plane intersect that rectangular prism of cheese. So in this particular cut that I made, these were the shapes that you could see along the outside edges of the cut pieces. And if you count those up, you'll see there's 5 sides there. These are pentagons. And the green and the blue pentagon here are identical because, after all, when you cut this in half, those 2 pieces would meet up. So those 2 shapes are identical or congruent. So that's what you're going to be doing today. It's a really fun lesson. It does ask that you find some clay or Play-Doh around your house. If you don't have any, it's kind of cool. You can look online and find a recipe for Play-Doh, some of it which you can eat. And it's a really, really wonderful exploration, this lesson. I will give you one reminder that a lot of the pictures you see are going to be 2-dimensional representations of a situation in 3-dimensional space. So remember, these pictures, although they're flat 2-dimensional representations, they're meant to have you think about a box or a cube in 3-dimensional space and what happens when this figure is intersected, cut by a plane. So again, the name of this lesson is Slicing and Dicing. I hope you enjoy your exploration, and thanks for your time today. Bye-bye.